The National Association of Theater Owners say he is the star of the century, and if you look at box office, there is no doubt. If you look at image, no one represents the classical American hero on screen more than Harrison Ford. He is unique, but he's also today's Spencer Tracy, Gary Cooper, and Cary Grant combined. He is the hero who doesn't want trouble, but can't be pushed around and can only be pushed so far. He has 4 children, 1 grandchild, and he lives not in Hollywood, but Jackson Hole, Wyoming, on an 800-acre spread along the Snake River. At 53, he is in his prime. His latest film, Sabrina, is a change of pace, a comedy directed by Sydney Pollack. Harrison Ford for the hour tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Tell me about this film and how it came into being for you.
I got a script from Scott Rudin, the producer of the film, which he had developed with Barbara Benedict. I'd been looking for a romantic comedy, and this came across my desk. I read it, and I found it very witty, intelligent. It had some ambition. It wasn't the usual kind of antic comedy that we see so much of now. And the relationships between the people were interesting to me. There was no director attached to the project at that point. So Scott and I agreed on Sydney Pollack as worthy of pursuing. And we did, and pursue him we did, because Sydney did not agree easily to it.
A remake of a famous classic was not something...
Of a Billy Wilder film.
Yeah.
It was less of a problem for me, I suppose partially because I had not seen the original film at that point. I knew it was out there, of course, but I didn't know how to compare the two since I didn't know the original. As we began to be more specific in our once Sydney agreed to join us, excuse me, and we began to speak more specifically about the script we had and about where we wanted to go with it. It was apparent that I would have to see this film in order to participate in these conversations. But I didn't really want to see it because I didn't want to be led to imitation.
Linus had been played by Humphrey Bogart.
That's right. That's right. And finally I did see the film. I thought it was witty and fun but very much of its time, 1954. And the script that I read was much more contemporary. Of course, we'd brought it up to date as much.
One small example, in that film they were talking about, what, $20 million? In your film you're talking about $1 billion deal.
Yeah.
You know.
Times has changed.
Yeah.
And Linus Larrabee, the character that I play, I think had a different utility in the original film. I can't talk at great length with much intelligence about this because I only saw the film one time. But I think we changed the purpose of Linus in this version.
How so?
Well, I think Sydney, we all agreed that we wanted a tougher Linus. We wanted a Linus more in tune with what we knew about these guys.
Tough, driven, hard, sometimes ruthless.
Right, and we know quite a bit more about them and their personal lives now than we did in 1954.
There's much more of a focus on business personality.
Right. So I think we felt we had to be much truer to the form of that kind of guy with Linus. And the difficulty here was to try and make a comedy and still be truthful about the nature of this guy, who, in the process of the story, would be redeemed by Sabrina. Well, in the original, it was a little bit fudged because he was made a little bit less serious, perhaps. So it was easier to accept him. But Linus's meanness in Sydney's movie is real meanness. There's real pain caused by Linus to Sabrina. And those kinds of shifts, you know, the shift from being unkind, being inappropriate, and then being changed by this representation of love, is a rather complicated way of telling this story, but I think it has values.
Is it primarily the actor that has to change that, how you can take that arc, I mean, that sense of mean, tough, ruthless guy who begins to have an affair with the chauffeur's daughter in order to prevent a relationship with his younger brother who's a playboy.
Yeah.
And then falls in love, attraction with her.
Well, it's
So you
it's
go
phrased
from-
out in the script. It's not an actor's invention.
Yeah.
It's all very carefully.
But that's the thing you got to bring off, this very...
Yeah, and it's difficult. I mean, it was difficult. It was difficult not to protect yourself.
Yeah.
It was difficult not to want a little bit more charm. It was difficult not to want people to like you.
Yeah, charm and light play well.
Yeah. So, but Sydney was really clear and persuasive about keeping it tough as long as it could be kept tough.
You have a reputation for working with directors you've worked with before.
Yeah, I like
You
to do
know,
that. Yeah.
you're doing a film now with Alan Pakula, who you
That's
worked
right.
with before.
Yeah.
Sydney, Spielberg.
Yeah.
Is it
Stephen, Peter Weir.
Right. Is it confidence? Is it what? What is it?
In most cases, it's been a common interest, so that when something came up that we knew that we might be interested in it, and so we would talk to each other. I mean, I did Witness with Peter Weir. I'd never met Peter before. When Mosquito Coast came up, it was something I thought he would respond to. It was something he thought I would respond to. So we had a sense of what our interests were.
This film and the shaping of the film, did you extend the character because to know something about you and the evolution in your own career, you know, you take great interest in the script, as you did here, looking for ways to, in a sense, extend the character to move the story along?
I went into this in a different way to what I usually do. I'd worked on 3 films in which I'd been very involved in the pre-production process in the screenplay, without having any writing talent. I don't write, but I get involved in the collaborative mix of ideas and the definition of ambitions. In this case, I said to Sydney Sydney is a director. Sydney has one thing beyond being a wonderful director. He's a wonderful actor. Very few of the other people that I've worked with are actors. I admired him as an actor so much that, and for other reasons, having to do with my own personal time, and for other reasons, I said, Sydney, I want to be directed here. And I realized one thing that I hadn't realized before is that in this working on the screenplay part of the job, I had been, to a certain extent, pre-directing myself. I'd said, no, that doesn't make sense. How would that work? You know, and they'd say, okay, well, we'll fix that. And they fix it.
Harrison doesn't like this one.
No, but, and then, so I thought, well, I should really try this the other way.
I'm willing to be led.
Let me say this: I want to be directed, and go away, make the script, but just suit yourself, and come back, and we'll discuss it, and then show me where to stand. And that's the way I went into it this time.
And at the end of the process, were you comfortable doing it that way?
Well, it didn't really work exactly that way. you know, because
you were lured into it because Sydney sought
because I was not so comfortable
so it didn't
being directed that specifically. But you know, it was still my ambition to follow somebody else's lead, and as much as that was possible, you know, as within the zone of comfort, that's what I tried to do in this case. I did things that I didn't have a lot of confidence in because Sydney convinced me that they would work.
Did you feel vulnerable doing it?
Yes. Yes. And sometimes, and so whatever accommodation was made, it didn't change from wanting to be directed, but Sydney found ways of directing me that were more that worked better for the both of us.
Roll tape. This is Sabrina, starring Harrison and Julie Ormond and Greg Kinnear. Here it is. Did this role mean something to you in terms of change of pace? Was it time to do something lighter? That's the reason in the beginning you were receptive to Scott Rudin. That's the reason that you sought out Sydney, because he had that capacity to do romantic comedy.
I had done I had done Patriot Games, right. The Fugitive, and then Clear and Present Danger. Those were 3 back-to-back pictures, and I figured it was time to break out of that mold and do another kind of picture. It had always been my process to go from one genre to another as much as possible in the past. I just hadn't been able to find something to shift into in these pictures.
It seems amazing to me, and it shows you how naive I'm about your business, your art, is that you can't find something. Everybody want you in there, wants to see a script. If you have a script, the person you want to read the script is Harrison Ford, and how hard it is to find...
That's not, I mean, that's not the case. I mean, you have a wonderful range of comic actors available.
Yeah.
You've got Robin, you've got Steve Martin, you've got... and it goes on and on and on. There are a lot of people that you can go to. What I require when I read a script is to be interested in the story. I require some emotional interest in the character that I'm to play. That doesn't often happen in comedy, in comic situations. Yeah. People behave in a way that advances the comedy, but there's no, there's usually not, I'm not able to find the kind of consistency of character that I think works. So I don't want to do jokes. I want to do comedy of character. That's what I'm really interested in doing. And especially if it's going to be romantic comedy. So I didn't find anything that exactly met my method of engagement. You know what I mean? Yeah. I have to come in from a different place. I have to be emotionally interested in the character.
And nothing touched you there until you saw this script.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to Chicago. That's a long time ago.
Sure.
50-some years ago. Growing up with your mother and father there, then moving out to Des Plaines?
To Des Plaines, and then Park Ridge. Yeah. First to Morton Grove, actually, and then Park Ridge.
Did you think about being an actor then?
No.
What did you think about being?
Forest ranger.
Really?
Or...
something outdoors, something working with your hands,
something completely different to my life in Chicago. My father worked in an office.
Yeah. You didn't want to do that.
Every morning he'd get up and put on his tie, and he'd go to work, and he'd come home at the end of the day, and we'd sit around the table and hear about what it was like at work.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go there. So I couldn't imagine what I was going to do with myself. I never really had a clear ambition until very late in my college career.
You went on to Ripon College, which is, I assume, where the Ripon Society began, too.
It's the birthplace of the Republican Party,
right,
and the home of the Speed Queen washing machine factory.
Those two things.
Which are two events which about equal in my mind.
The Republican Party and Speed Queen washing machines. You didn't even graduate. You said, listen.
I all but graduated.
Yeah.
I was thrown out 4 days before graduation.
For what?
For the usual reasons. Total academic failure.
Yeah.
My grade point average had been slipping from the very beginning.
But
very poor student.
But in the meantime, you'd been bitten by the acting bug, as they would say?
Yeah.
You had?
Yeah. I had a little itch. Where it had bitten me. Yeah. I didn't know whether it would go away or not. Yeah. But everybody else was going off from 4 years of college. They were going to go to graduate school.
Yeah.
Or they were going to go into the Army, or they were going to pursue some profession.
You had to have something you were going to do. And so you said...
Everybody did.
Right.
But I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go sit in an office for 20 years. And also I hadn't acquired any of the education that would have permitted me to stay in that office for more than
and you'd given up on the dream to be a forest ranger.
I'd given up on that. And I'll tell you what happened. My grade point average, as I said, was slipping. I took a drama class I think it was my senior year. It was probably actually last semester, my junior year, without realizing that one was going to be called upon to actually get up on stage and act, which I had never done before, not even in a little kid's school play. And it terrified me. The first time I was on stage, I played Mr. Antrobus in Skin of Our Teeth with a pillow and talc in my hair and a big mustache. But my knees were knocking so badly you could see it from the back of the auditorium. Well, I couldn't live with that. That kind of fear I'd never met before in my life. I'd never been that afraid of anything. And I wanted to conquer that fear. That was my ambition. So I did another play after that. So I could get over this fear. Once I began to have some handle on the fear, and it never really ever completely goes away, then I became interested in the other aspects of acting.
How to do it.
How to do it, how to be useful in that situation, how to work with other people. And I'd never found a way to work with other people before. I'd always been solitary, isolated a bit. Never a joiner, never a teammate, or that kind. So here was a way of working with people, and here was something that intrigued me and challenged me. So I became interested in it. And when I thought about my options, in my ignorance, the one thing I never thought about was how impossible, on a strictly statistical basis, it was to make a living as an actor.
Yeah.
All I knew is that you had to go to New York or L.A. to be an actor, to work as an actor. And I had no thought of doing it except professionally. That's how I wanted to make a living. Because I imagined this about an actor's life, that you worked for a finite period of time on a project with a group of people, and then all that changed. You went on to another group of people, another place even. And that continual change and challenge is what intrigued me.
And it turned out that you were right.
I was part right.
Well, you do move with a new group of people, and you go to different places. I mean, you're in New York now, and you might go to, I don't know where you film Mosquito Coast. I don't know where you...
Belize.
In Belize.
No, I have had an extraordinary life doing this job. I've been all over the world. I've worked with extraordinary people. I've had a great life.
But when you went to Los Angeles, your ambition, you didn't think of yourself as the next Olivier.
all I wanted to do was make a living.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a job.
Just make a living. You know, there was a lot of episodic television that was out there, and that's where I thought my niche would be. I mean, my highest ambition was maybe to get a job on a series.
Maybe you'd be the star of your own series.
Well, not the star.
No, not the star. Okay, I don't want to exaggerate. We didn't have exalted ambitions. We just thought we could get a job that paid to take care of your family.
That was what I wanted.
Stay with me. And then you at some point
after 15 years.
15 years, okay.
I made a living.
Not overnight. It didn't happen.
No, it was a very long night.
The carpentry thing, can we make something out of that somehow working with your hands outdoors was somehow, is that something more than just to have a job?
It's become, it's lost some of its definition because it's so often, this story is so often repeated and told. And I've sort of stopped trying to figure out, how to extend the metaphor any further than everyone else extends it. But I do think that somewhere in the process of making something, whether you're making a building or you're making a part, an actor's part, that there's something about submitting to the logic of the thing you're building that's consistent between the two. There's something about understanding how it works before you set out to use it. There's something about knowing that one brick goes on top of another, and that there's a purpose for a foundation, to spread the weight, and that I can extend this metaphor.
I know you can,
and tediously.
Yeah.
But basically, I think it's just about a method of work.
Building it brick by brick. To come to a...
Not expecting a result. But starting out knowing that it needs this for the bottom.
Can you say anything about control and building in your own environment and all that? I mean, because you have continued...
I more controlled my environment away from the carpentry job because I had carpentry. I became a much more interesting person to interview as an actor because I had a carpentry job.
Because to them, you had somewhere you could go back to.
I wasn't a empty vessel, a jar labeled need. That's and that's what I. So, as an out of work actor, it's very hard not to represent need.
Yeah. Desperation.
And people don't have any respect for it. And they don't have any interest in it. What they are looking for is somebody who has a mind of their own.
Yeah.
They may not realize it because it's a little uncomfortable to be around people that have minds of their own. And I was a continuous annoyance to people very earlier on in my career. But when I came to an interview, I wasn't trying to figure out how to dress in a way that would interest them or behave in a way that interested them. I was there, and thank you very much. Pleased to be here. I can't stay.
Building a building.
I've got a plumber. I got to meet at 3 o'clock. But it's really sweet of you to ask. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
But I was a person with something in my head, other than just sitting in a reactive mode.
And it gave you confidence and probably affected the way you did.
It also meant that I had another way of making a living. If they didn't want me, it didn't mean my kids were going to not have anything to eat.
But the interesting thing, too, is this is not something you abandoned once you became rich and successful and famous and had all the whatever you needed, all the roles that you needed. You have continued.
Well...
No? You don't build anything anymore? You don't have a big shop on Snake River where you've got every modern tool known to mankind?
No, not every modern tool, but I have a nice shop which I don't get to very often.
Really?
And I've lost a lot of the... I miss it. I do miss it.
Yeah.
I do miss it. I just don't have the time to devote to keeping the tool skills that you need to do the kind of work that I really like to do. I can still go and do something, build something in my shop, but it'll take me 3 times as long. I'll have to get all the machines set up the way I want them. It's not as though that's what your life is. You go in there every morning and the tools are set up the way you want them, everything's sharp, and you just go to work. So I don't do as much of that as I'm still interested in the process, and I'm still involved in designing the buildings that I build and things. I've always got a construction project going.
Me too.
I'm lost without that.
I know. So. Somebody would say to me, "Stop remodeling houses, for God's sakes." You know, Star Wars was, I mean, conversation was. You'd already done conversation. You'd already done American Graffiti
and conversation.
Yeah. And
Think for
Cali.
Stanley. Yeah.
3 big breaks for you. Each of them shaped you.
Yeah.
Let me, just before I go to a clip of Star Wars, American Graffiti shaped you in what way?
It was the first time I worked with a director that was willing to listen to an idea, however small, from an actor. And I mean, some of the directors that I'd worked with before that might have listened to an actor's idea. Not mine, but some other actor's idea. But it was the first time I met anyone who responded to an idea that I had. And so suddenly I felt useful.
This is collaboration. This is all those things that...
It's being able to use something more of what you bring to the table. It's not collaboration for the sake of getting your way.
No.
It's just
collaboration doesn't mean getting your way. Yeah. Collaboration means that two people you listen to and people look at the best way to do something.
And you don't have to be so damn smart to be a useful collaborator. It's just, I think it's good to have as many brains on the case as you can. Good ideas on a movie set come from everywhere. They come from the prop man. They come from actors. They come from directors.
Occasionally.
They even come from producers from time to time.
Conversation did what for you?
Well, it was another experience where I had a little bit more to say about the character, a little bit more confidence in my ideas.
Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah. Francis gave me a little bit more latitude.
You extended the character because of an interpretation you had brought to, and he became part.
Yeah, I got a script. This was a... I don't want to take too long with the story, but Francis and his producer, Fred Roos, asked me to test for the part that Freddie Forrest ended up playing, which was the second main male character after Gene Hackman, I think. And I tested for the part. We shot a test, and they said, "We're going to give the part to Freddie, but we want you to be in the movie. Francis is going to write a part for you." Okay, great. And when finally I got a call after having forgotten about it completely, to come to San Francisco for rehearsal, that Francis had indeed written a part. And I would get my script when I got there. When there was somebody behind a table, and they had a stack of scripts, and they were handing them out. Harry McCall, da-da-da, and mine was young man. Well, you know, I'd been waiting for this, and here I was, young man. That's a character is not even important enough to have a name. And there was 1 or 2 little tiny scenes, and I was a function of the plot. It was clear what I was to do for the plot. So,
be in the background.
Well, in the background, but there was a little thing that this character did that no other character did, which changed the story a little bit. In looking for ways to justify the way the character behaved, I came up with an idea of the character which is different to what Francis had written.
Callie.
Yep.
Stanley Kramer.
Yep.
You asked for...
He gave me a script, and he said, "Read the script and tell me what part you want to play." I said, well, and when I got done with it, I knew going in that Callie had already been taken. So I couldn't ask for Callie. I took the other part. I can't remember the name of the guy right now. The enlisted man who actually was the principal accuser of Callie, and the principal witness against him in the courtroom drama, which was really how the story was told. And Stanley Kramer said, that's the hardest part in the story to play. Are you sure you can do it? And I said, yeah, I am. And it wasn't, I probably have not told this story very often, but it wasn't until just now that I realized why I felt I could play that part.
Why?
It's because of what I've been telling you all along. I had an emotional reaction to that character. I had an emotional continuity with the character that gave me confidence. I knew I could play that character.
Because you understood.
I felt what he must have felt.
And Stanley Kramer had confidence.
Stanley Kramer was a brave guy and a cool customer who must have been led the same way.
Star Wars was the big.
I was able to go to work.
Yeah.
I was able to get a job.
And then you chose Witness next?
No. I hope I'm right about this. I think I chose Force 10 from Navarone.
Yeah.
And went off to do this picture with Bob Shaw and James Fox in Yugoslavia. It should have stayed there.
This is not on the honor roll, is
the
it?
first made-for-Yugoslavia movie.
But
it was not. It was not a great success, I think.
Witness was for you. For
Witness
you,
was quite a bit later, but it. I think my career got a shot in the arm. I'd been able to work all right, but I think people had a different sense of me after Witness.
What was that sense? That you could handle different kinds of...
Yeah, that I could do more than the cocky kid, which is pretty much what I've done before.
Mosquito Coast. You know what they all say?
No. Oh, no. I know what one of them said.
It's Harrison Ford's story is one.
Right.
Two, what drove this man drives Harrison.
Yeah.
He's a guy who, wants to take his kids and go up to Wyoming as a respite from the rest of the world.
Well, if I ever find the friend who said that it was just like me, I don't think I'm just like Allie Fox, but what I loved about Allie Fox was the language. Thoreau's language was brilliant. Yeah. The character was sharp as a tack in terms of the way he was drawn. There was no lack of definition in who this guy was, and his anger against the world was something I certainly could identify with, but it wasn't my anger against the world. But I could fold whatever anger I had into Allie's shape, and I like that movie very much.
I know you do, for all the reasons you just said, because of the language, because of the...
Yeah.
But it's not your story, is your point.
No, I don't think it is.
In any way.
No, I don't think it is. I never ran away from anything. I never told my kids that we couldn't go back to wherever we came from. There's also, part of the myth of Harrison Ford is that I ran away from Hollywood in great revulsion.
You ran to Jackson Hole.
Yeah, I had an opportunity not to live in this huge, sprawling city, but to live in a beautiful place.
And in fact, you went looking for a place that had, the natural elements, and you ended up selecting.
We looked, we'd go away, Melissa and I would go away on weekends whenever we had the chance. This was before the kids were born. And we were looking for 10 acres. And a little few trees, maybe a little water, and then it got
Maybe
to be
a creek.
20, then it got to be 40, and then...
Then they got to be 800, and they got to be the Snake River. They got to be these really wonderful trout.
But it's
down.
the best thing I ever did.
Why?
Well, because it gave my kids a place that's really theirs. It gave me a place I could always go to and find renewal. It gave me a place where I was so inspired by inspired is a strong word to use. I was comforted by what I saw there, by what I felt there.
The naturalness of it all, the majesty of the mountains and
the process. You know, the nature itself. You can see it right there, how it all worked and how it, and there's something reassuring about that for me.
You tell a great story, though. I mean, I read this, where your kids who see everything out there, every natural thing that you can possibly want to see is in and around Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
We have on our property a herd of elk, which to the great annoyance of all the ranchers around us. But there's plenty of feed and cover on our property, and they're not hunted there. So we have this wonderful herd of elk that is there year-round. And in the certain times of the year, they come to feast on the lawn itself, and they come and they eat our bushes, and they so they're right there. These big wild animals right there, and the kids are so used to them that you say the elk are out, and they. So I'm working on my Nintendo or something. So, but when they come here, they'll go down to the basement of the Natural History Museum and stand with their nose pressed against the glass and look at one stuffed dead elk.
So, what does that say to you?
I don't know. I don't know. But I'm glad they have both experiences.
Yeah. Raiders of the Lost Ark, and
well,
what would that do for you, and what was that, and how was...
Well, it was a chance to work with Stephen, and a chance to really...
what did he bring to you?
A kind of wild abandon and fun in the work,
and the love of
and
the craft.
love of movies, and I mean, and I don't come from a great love of movies. I just am not.
You're not even a film buff, you said.
I'm not.
You don't watch movies.
But Stephen has a contagious enthusiasm for film and for the process. And a real open, generous mind. And we got along great. And we worked well together. We had a very easy exchange of ideas. We fed off of each other in a really easy way.
You shaped Indiana Jones. This was a case where you really...
Well, I mean... the hat was a given, the whip was a given, the costume was, every element of the costume was a given. There wasn't a lot of room, really, except in that when working with Stephen, there was plenty of room for refining the way in which an ambition was met, for a better line, for a different kind of reaction than had been scripted.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, here it is.
Give me the whip. Throw me the idol. No time to argue. Throw me the idol. I throw you the whip. Give me the whip. Adios, señor.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Will you do another one of those?
in a New York minute. If, you know, in our collective judgment, we come up with something that we think is as good or better than what we've done before.
It's Stephen,
Yeah.
because you like the character,
Mm-hmm.
because you assume the script will be okay, and because they do so well.
Well, one doesn't assume the script will be okay. I mean, we've had a script came down the pike that Stephen and I both didn't feel was, didn't feel the boat would float, and so we that project is, I think, pretty much abandoned, and we're going to make another shot at it. Take another shot at it.
You love acting. You like it.
I guess I do.
Yeah. I mean, you're an actor.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
I guess so.
You enjoy it.
I love the process. I love, I've never found anything that engages me as completely. I've never found anything where I can work with people on the level that I can work with people on in this business on. I've never found anything where I could find more interesting people to work with. The whole thing, the problem-solving aspect of it, figuring out what to do with a group of people, and then doing it. The process is always different and always the same, but there's enough of it's different to make it continually engaging and challenging.
You're a storyteller.
I'm an assistant storyteller. The director, the writer are storytellers. I'm an interpreter, and I help tell the story.
You don't deny it's art and craft and all those things.
I don't know what the art part of it is.
You don't?
I know there's a lot of craft involved. Yeah, and I think it may be the actor's job. Maybe all craft. There may be people who elevate craft to the level of art. You've had some of them in here lately.
That's true.
I can't think about the job that way, so I don't.
Can you think about it in the sense of what this thing called Harrison Ford, an American hero, in the same way people talk about Spencer Tracy and Gary Cooper?
No.
You represent, as an actor, sort of a classic American. I referred to it in the beginning of the script. There is something special about you. They see.
Well, the only way that they've come up with this accumulated knowledge of who I am is through the movies that I've been in. The choices, if you will, that I've made. That the Harrison Ford, the stuff of legend, doesn't exist at all. I just work there in the Harrison Ford store. But what we're selling are these stories, these characters, these inventions.
People like Sydney Pollack and others will argue that what comes through, though, is something that is quintessential Harrison Ford. Integrity, sense of vulnerability, that it's not just what was on the page, it was what comes from inside you as an actor.
I think everybody does that. Everybody brings themselves.
And that somehow that, as it was with Jimmy Stewart,
I think people, I think I have assumed, and others like me have assumed, a cultural utility. This is a culture that has an enormous need for heroes. The whole mythology of our country is based on heroes. I've never had a hero in my life. I just don't work that way. My brain doesn't register it. So I don't, I represent, you've talked about heroes in your introduction, because of the characters that I play and the utility that the movies have that I appear in. Some of that has unnaturally accrued to me for reasons that I don't agree to.
You're a vessel that in these roles that America's need. for a hero pours into?
Maybe, yeah.
It is a longing in the American psyche, isn't it? Colin Powell.
Yeah. We can't be happy with ordinary men, real people, that do their best and get on with it. We have to write it big.
But with you, it's different than Stallone and Schwarzenegger and all other people who play action roles, in that they see every man vulnerability. They see in your face, you know.
Well, I try and do that.
And
that's what I try and do, is I try and take this big scale stuff and give it small scale definition. I try and create something that the audience will recognize as a human being, because there's no way to feel close to a hero. I mean, people do, I guess. People, but I don't. So anyway, I try and make a meal out of what I'd like to have.
But it is, when done best, that connection that the audience sitting in that theater feels.
Yeah, because they feel they can be that guy.
Yeah, but you...
They don't need to have Arnold's muscles.
Yeah, but they look in your eyes and they see the vulnerability and the fear and...
Well, or the pride,
or pride, or whatever,
or vanity,
or I've had enough, goddammit, and.
One of the things I've always tried to do with action pieces was to maintain those, as many moments when the audience can be consistent with the character, when they can see into his eyes, and that's why I've gotten the people have the idea that I do stunts. I don't do stunts. I arrange, with my co-workers to be able to be there to do it, so that you can see, you can feel that you're still in it with the character, that you're not pushed out of it by the kinetics, but drawn into it because of the character.
Speaking of characters, you once said Jack Ryan, the Clancy character, is what to you? I think you said it was the one that you most saw something that you liked, admired.
No. Don't think so.
Don't think so.
No.
It's just a character that...
Well, it's an interesting character. He's a fascinating character.
Because?
Because of where he goes and what he does and who he...
The stories he's caught up in, or the nature of his own qualities?
I think we have invested Jack Ryan with a nature somewhat different to the Jack Ryan of
Tom Clancy. I do too. Well, what is that?
Well, we've made him not so damn smart. We've made him, I think we've given him a bit of vulnerability.
And that's you. That's you.
Well, fair enough, and I suppose I think it makes the character a little bit more interesting. To have all of the power and a lot of the same concerns that you and I and everybody else has.
Patriot Games, here it is.
So, you just waded on in like John Wayne. Why'd you do it? What were you thinking, man?
I don't know. I wasn't thinking.
That's it? You sound like some of my students.
Just pissed me off. I couldn't just stand there and watch him shoot those people right in front of me. It was rage. Pure rage. It just made me mad.
Well, here's hoping you never get mad at me, man.
Let me read you something that, finally, David Halberstam, who did a profile of you. Does this ring true at all for you? He is a man who's lived much of his life, friends believe, in a kind of private rage. The rage of the just man in an unjust land. He is a person who lives very much by his own codes in a kind of slow burn against those who do not, because of laziness and sloppiness, live up to them.
Well, I mean,
there's some truth
makes
there,
me
but
sound like a bit of a zealot,
No.
and also an angry guy, and I guess I am.
you are. There's some truth there.
Some truth.
Yeah. But what's mainly there is this code there, though. And what are you shaking your head for?
Well, I usually don't as easily admit to being angry, because I'm not. I don't feel angry, but I guess I have moments.
About?
About stuff that's wrong.
The world around you? Materialism, doing to the environment?
No, you know, it can be me too. Me too. Failure to connect, failure to do the right thing, failure to be appropriate.
Very tough on yourself.
I don't know another way to be. I mean, yeah, sure. Everybody else is so damn easy on me.
They are.
Yeah,
they really are.
They really are.
You know? I mean, it's been... Your place up there is... Yet at the same time, each day, each movie is a new...
Well, it's a crapshoot every time.
Crapshoot every time.
Yep.
You know? And you worry about it.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
You're doing a film here with Alan Pakula in New York.
Yeah. I play a uniformed New York City police officer of the Irish variety who takes a kid into his home,
who is?
A younger guy, who is Brad Pitt, thinking he's a well-meaning Irish student, and finding out only later, once he's built a relationship with this kid, finding out that he's an IRA terrorist and becoming involved in, responsible for bringing him to justice. Comes to no good end.
What's the great ambition now? I mean, you
I don't know. I have very personal things I'd like to have be better. And my work, I want just to continue to maintain the opportunities as long as possible. I know that it's going to slip away as there are less and less roles. But, you know, to find a way of converting what I now am into something that'll work for another 10 or 15 years.
Yeah. Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you
very much.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
too.